What's going on, everyone? Nick here, Freedom Financial in Motion, and I'm a bit sniffly today, but let's talk about how to win. Alright, so how do you win, and what do I mean by that? So how do you get ahead in this day and age? And that's a big question because there's a lot of people struggling, everyone blaming everyone else, of course, the government's fault and the rising property prices and blah blah blah. But the thing is you got to mind your own business, right? Like, you see everybody talking about minding your own business or not blaming somebody else for your situation and taking that responsibility for yourself. And as soon as you do that, then you can identify what's going on around you, and you're not worried about what other people are doing and how that's going to affect you. You are aware of your situation, and there's no point in dwelling on it. So how do we move forward? And that can be a whole bunch of things. Property prices seems to be the way to go. Minimum wage. How does a family earn a living? I've got 3 kids and I can't afford, and all of those things. And everybody's looking to the government for support, and it's not their problem. It's your problem. Your problem. So what you've got to do is you've got to take your situation, you need to mold it, and you need to fix that. I don't want to swear in these videos, but you need to fix that situation so that you can come out on top. So what are we doing? And I can see it now. Everybody thinking, whatever, Nick, you don't know what it's like to live poor. And I actually do. And the reason I live poor is because I stash all my money away. I live incredibly frugally. I don't eat at the fanciest restaurants. I don't wear the best clothing. I wear my clothing till it wears out, literally, and then I sell it. I don't even give it away or throw it away. I put it on Facebook Marketplace because somebody's gonna want that. Again, somebody's gonna want it. I sold a whole bunch of shirts and stuff not long ago on Facebook Marketplace, and I made like $300, and that was enough to go out and buy 3 more shirts, and that was just ridiculous. Like, there you go, there's an answer. Think about that. The kids' clothes, if you've sewn up shop and you've got 3 kids and the youngest is growing out of the clothes that you've passed down, sell them. Facebook Marketplace, people want to buy that stuff. People don't want to pay top dollar for it. And I know you can go to Kmart and the warehouse and stuff, and you might buy a t-shirt for a kid for like $2, but Facebook Marketplace, you might buy 10 t-shirts for a kid for $2. So things like that, garage sailing and all of those kind of things. Which kind of brings me to my next point, and they do it overseas. They don't do it too much here. I'm not too sure how much of a garage sailing market there is here, but picking things up from garage sales, negotiating, getting something for a good price, and then flipping it on Facebook Marketplace. I know we don't really talk about Trade Me anymore because of the fees and stuff like that. It's kind of like, screw you, Trade Me. But doing little things like that. Now, how is that going to relate to your problem? And I know you're thinking, I work 40-hour weeks, and I don't have time to do that, but everybody has the time. You just have to make it. So you have the same 24 hours in a day as I have, as Donald Trump has, for example, and he's a multi-millionaire. Whether you love him or hate him, he's succeeding, right? So it doesn't even matter. And we all have the same amount of time. So maybe you get up an hour earlier, maybe you go stay up an hour later, maybe you teach yourself something at the end of the day. If you don't know how to use Facebook Marketplace, Google that stuff, learn it, practice it, repeat it, and then once you get yourself a little thing going on the side, you can utilize that funds, or those funds that you make on the side, to pay off any debt you've got. Maybe you add it to your savings. Maybe you use that to buy food for the household, or stationery for the children, or whatever. And that kind of is another point where people end up in trouble, and they end up at the doors of the finance companies because they're failing to plan. Like, you got 3 kids, in February they're off to school, you've got a stationery bill. And I don't know what stationery costs these days, but the bottom line is you've got a you haven't got one, you've got 3 stationary bills. You need to plan for that. So whether you have a bank account or something like that set up over in the corner for kids, uniforms and stationery and anything else that they may need, they probably need new shoes for the new year, that's already paid for, and you've saved for that over the entirety of the year. So you move that over there and park that over there, and that's done. You can touch that, and you can touch that when you need it, get that out when you need it, and you just leave it there. And if you're not paying for anything ridiculous, oh man, we've seen so many people that are paying like over $120 a month for Sky, and there's no money for lunches. Like, get rid of it. And a little inside tip with Sky TV, if they read this, if they read it, see it, whatever, if you call up Sky and you say, I want to cancel it, they will try and downgrade your package, and they will give you a hookup. And we've done that before, where they've gone from $120 a month down to $50 a month and maintained just about everything that they had anyway. But even $50 a month, Netflix is like $14. Do you really need to pay $50 a month for television? Probably not. Go down to the pub and watch the UFC, and maybe take the family down there or whatever. And I know the argument is, oh, whatever, Nick, we'll spend that much money on beers or whatever, but, just be a bit smart about it. And anyway, I know this has turned into a little bit of a rant, but it's getting real frustrating with the lack of education out there, and that is not your fault. But it's society and the economy, and everyone wants you to remain poor because, the owner of Instant Finance, for example, he's living the dream because you're paying for it when you go out and get your finance, and you're on your 29% and so on and so forth. Harmony, this is a big thing that grinds my gears actually at the moment. Harmony Money Lending was the largest peer-to-peer in New Zealand, and they started off, they built their business on the back of peer-to-peer and what they call retail investors, and then they've grown so big because of people borrowing money and paying incredibly large amounts of interest, that they switched and they've booted out all the retail clients, and now they're only dealing with wholesale clients so they can keep all the money themselves. Obviously greed, which is the downfall of any sort of economy, I guess, is greed, and then scarcity is on the other side of it. But it's basically, if you look at the big picture as a whole, it's people borrowing that money. And if you had just planned for it, you wouldn't need to borrow it. If your TV blows up, maybe you just get a second-hand TV. If your washing machine blows up, get a second-hand washing machine. You don't need new shit. You don't know, there we go. You don't need the top of the line. You don't need brand new. Just get by. If you don't have the money, don't spend it. And then if you do have the money, put it away for something else. And one of the quotes, or not really a quote, but something I really like to live by, was one of my own personal mentors that I had and still listen to and tune into. And they basically don't spend any of their money that comes in. So money will come in, they'll pay their bills, of course, you got to live, pay the bills, and then the rest of it goes away. They don't buy new shoes, they don't buy new watches, they don't buy flash clothes or any of that kind of stuff until that money that you're parking over there, your capital, is providing you a return. Spend that. So spend the return on the capital, do not spend the capital. Actually, that's a good title for this video. Do not spend your capital. Now, if you want to talk about, oh, that's great to hear, Nick, but it's going to take so long to be building up something in the bank and blah, blah, blah. It's cool, man. Let's just sit down and talk about it, and we'll tee something up for you so that you can have a forward plan of, even if it takes 2 to 3, 4, 5 years. 5 years is nothing to get something in place for you and your family, and then you've got like a little capital nest egg. So again, if you've got any questions, put them below the video. Anything that you want clarified, please send me a message, give me a call anytime. Contact details below the video, and that's a wrap.